Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of Dark MAGA, where we get a little bit feisty, a little bit freaky deaky, a little bit wild here. And that's all up to you on how wild and crazy we get on this evening podcast. You set the tone, I set the stage, and well, we let the news do its work. Let's jump right into the shenanigans that's going on here because things are pretty spicy and wild right now. So the U.S. Marshal and suspect identified by the Department of Homeland Security as an illegal alien who had escaped custody suffered non-threatening gunshot wounds during a federal immigration enforcement operation in South Los Angeles on Tuesday morning. The incident occurred around 8:52 a.m. today in the Newton Division when ICE and Marshals service agents attempted a traffic stop, but the suspect rammed their vehicle in an effort to flee. It's just like the Maryland guy. They're all good people, folks. None of these people are bad. They all are here for a better life. None of them are here to harm you. They would never flee. They would never do such a thing. Cheap fakes, deep fakes, according to Karine Jean-Pierre. Leading officers to fire their weapons at the individual. The FBI is investigating the shooting, which prompted protests outside the hospital, treating the suspect. No kidding.
Is video that we just have in from moments ago from Los Angeles. This is according to multiple ICE and Fox News sources. A U.S. Marshal and an illegal alien were both shot in L.A. this morning. It was during an immigration operation. Both at this time, we are told, have non-life-threatening injuries. Fox is told that federal agents surrounded and boxed in a target. That target then rammed federal vehicles in an attempt to escape. The feds fired their weapons. One U.S. Marshal was hit in his hand in what initially appears to be a bullet ricochet. The target criminal alien was hit in the elbow, we are told. Both expected to be okay, and they are at the hospital, and we are awaiting an update on that situation.
And what are they going to say? How could they shoot at a guy that was unarmed? See, they're going after brown people and black people. They're hunting them in the streets, is what they're going to push here. There's no personal responsibility. There's nothing on the side of the guy that fled from the police, tried to run them over and ram their vehicles. Nothing of the sort, because that's never a part of the Democratic Party, nor the progressive left, is personal responsibility. You have to blame everybody else for what's going on here. Look at this. So here's this guy who's basically, I would imagine, being funded by the Democrat Party. This guy comes out and says, everybody knows Ed Krasenstein. A U.S. Marshal and an immigrant have apparently been shot. It sounds as if an immigration official fired at an immigrant and the bullets ricocheted and hit a U.S. Marshal and an immigrant. More details to come. But notice it's just immigrant. It's not illegal alien. It's nothing of the sort. Yeah, just a casual Joe being pulled off the streets. Well, Dan Bongino got in the mix here and said FBI agents and our evidence response team are on the scene and coordinating with the HSI, ICE, and United States Marshal Services or something like that. So that's happening. That's kind of the breaking news that everybody was talking about today. Bill Mulligan, who's been on it for the illegal immigration, says per multiple ICE and DHS sources to Fox News, U.S. Marshal and a target alien were both shot in L.A. this morning during an immigration enforcement operation. Well, it turns out it might have been another guy just shooting another guy, meaning friendly fire. That's pretty wild stuff over there in, I guess over here in L.A. where I'm at. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. All righty, let's see what else we have here. Well, Trump warns of fast, furious, and brutal end to Hamas if terror group keeps violating his peace deal. What does he mean by this? President Donald Trump has delivered a stark warning to Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, by the way, vowing that if the terrorist group keeps violating his peace deal, an end to Hamas will be fast, furious, and brutal. Now, I would imagine that's him giving full clearance to Israel to go in and basically destroy Hamas. And that sounds like going door to door. But we'll have to see, because look, I don't think Hamas is going to give up here. And I don't fully blame Hamas, by the way. I think Israel is in part to do this as well. I think Israel wants to go in and make sure Hamas is no longer a threat. Trump pointed that many countries have signed on to the agreement and told him explicitly and strongly, with great euphemism, that they would welcome the opportunity at my request to go into Gaza with a heavy force and a straightened out Hamas if Hamas continues to act badly in violation of their agreement with us. So this gives a little bit more credibility on what our speculation was before, that when all these Arab nations got on board with this peace deal, with this peace agreement, that I said, well, I think that part of this agreement is if the Hamas doesn't want to keep it, well, then you have every right to go in and kind of lay down the groundwork, if that makes sense. And lay down the groundwork is a very nice way of going in and sweeping the floor with Hamas. And here's the sad thing about this, is there's a lot of Palestinians that want this stuff to end as well. I mean, they want to go back to normal. They want to live their life. And so you have this terrorist organization that's holding them hostage, both metaphorically and literally. I mean, they're out there executing Palestinians in the streets, but you're not going to see anybody protesting that. You know, God forbid. I mean, if Israel was out there protesting, or rather executing people in the streets, well, you'd be sure there's businesses being burnt down here in the United States of America in these leftist dominated areas. But, God forbid you go out and protest the fact that terrorist organization is executing people in the streets. It bewilders me. It's wild. At least I'd have a little bit of respect for you if you were to out there protest Israel, but then at the same time, you're out there protesting Hamas for the atrocities that they're doing. If you're going to say that Israel's doing human rights violation, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but then you're not going to say Hamas is doing human rights violation by literally executing people on camera, having hostages, and deleting a bunch of people. I don't know. I got a lot of questions about your morality, but that's here nor there. That's for another podcast. Last week, Trump wrote bluntly on Truth Social, if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which they are doing, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and delete them. Well, we'll see if that actually happens, because on Sunday, Hamas terrorists emerged from a tunnel and fatally shot 2 Israel Defense Forces, their soldiers. Professor Kobe Michael, a senior researcher at the Institute of National Security Studies and the Mizgab Institute, told Fox News Digital that the IDF, positioned all along the yellow line marking the boundary between Israel and Gaza, was immediately tested by Hamas, which first sent civilian children in order to provoke the IDF, in order to check if the IDF is aware enough and ready enough. And then they sent militants of Hamas, and some of them were even killed along the yellow line. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on over there. Why can't that region of the country just get their act together? They say the same thing about us, and they wouldn't be wrong. We can't get our act together either. It's mostly the left acting amok, but we'll kind of break that down a little bit later. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and seeing, folks, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It's good to see all of you in the chat. I see you. We're here for Dark MAGA, baby. We got a lot of news to cover. Things are happening. What else do we have here? Well, James Comey filed 2 motions to be exact on Monday in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, seeking dismissal of charges accusing him of lying to Congress and obstructing an investigation. His attorneys argue the case constitutes vindictive and selective prosecution driven by President Donald Trump's personal animus. The irony in this statement, the irony of what he just said. Let's just do a little bit of switcheroo right now, and let's change Donald Trump from Donald Trump being the one that's being prosecuted, and we're just going to kind of switch some words around a little bit, and it will totally play the exact same. His attorneys argue, Trump's attorneys argue, the case constitutes vindictive and selective prosecution driven by let's do Joe Biden, President Joe Biden's personal animus. I mean, wouldn't that play on what Donald Trump dealt with for literally 4 years? Was Joe Biden's animus, and basically anybody in the Democrat Party, pick your choosing, all going after him. They raided his home in Mar-a-Lago, rifled through Melania's underwear drawer because they're a bunch of weirdos sniffing her panties, those psychos. And a second motion here challenges the lead prosecutor's appointment of unconstitutional, raising questions about the Justice Department's independence in Trump's second term, but no questions whatsoever over the last 4 years of how they treated Donald Trump and his entire family, his entire business, the associates in those business. No questions, no problem, not unconstitutional, no raising questions on that one. No look into the Department of Justice to see if there's a mishandling there and an overreach of that branch of government. No, nothing. No, not here nor there. Well, here is Joe Scarborough warning MAGA, if Trump's DOJ prosecutes the deep state, Democrats may one day weaponize government against Republicans. The problem is, Joe, they did, you idiot. By the way, this is also the same idiot, and yes, I'm using that word very carefully. This is also the same idiot that said if Donald Trump were to be president of the United States, which he is now, that he would start literally locking people up and, quote, executing them in the streets. We covered the clip. He did say that. Let's see what he has to say here.
Again, because you talk about it in a piece, what I've been warning about, what I've been warning Republicans about, because they love to say, oh, we're owning the libs. No, you're taking a hammer to the 2027 and 2029 version of yourself, a ball peen hammer, and you're hammering yourself in the forehead. Like, the things they are doing now will be used against them by a progressive president or an independent megalomaniac who is a billionaire who becomes president of the United States. They are setting precedents for an all-powerful president, which they're fine right now because it's their guy doing it. But as you write in Axios, they're setting precedents that rip to shreds the constitutional norms that they've gone around yelling about for 50 years, whether it's, Article 1 powers like we did back when we were in power there to say, hey, we've got the right to balance the budget, or whether it's you pick whatever they were once champions of that they've abandoned. They're hurting themselves. This will come back to haunt them.
Let's take it above.
Wow. So Eric Dougherty, who we cover here quite often here on the show, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough has a grave warning for MAGA. One day, the Democrats might weaponize the government against Republicans if Trump's DOJ keeps prosecuting deep staters. The problem is that their audience really believes that. See, the progressive left, these people that just lay at home and watch MSNBC all the time, they don't ever think that Joe Biden weaponized the Justice Department. In the same way, they think Barack Obama was the second coming of Christ, that he did nothing wrong. Mind you, they forced us to have health insurance, even if you didn't want to. And if you didn't have that health insurance, well, then you're going to be penalized in your tax return. And it's going to be an exponential penalization to the point that at some point, well, you just have to pay for it. Because if you don't, well, it's going to cost you more through the penalty in your tax return than it would be to have health insurance. And then get this, they sold us, well, it's all going to be quality. It's going to be great. It's going to be affordable. But literally right now, you have Democrats themselves saying it's not affordable and that it sucks. Oh, who said that? Well, most recently, Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Ilhan Omar, AOC, all of them have said it. So you're telling me that the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, that you said was like some of the greatest health care you'll ever receive in your life, all of a sudden isn't great anymore, and all of a sudden it sucks? It's quite interesting. Just going to say, it's very, very interesting how that all works out. And there's no self-reflection from the Democrat Party. There's no mirror in the vicinity of the progressive left. And they all actually think that Donald Trump is weaponizing the DOJ to go after his political opponents, but there's no awakening to the fact that that's literally what Donald Trump and the Republican establishment went through for legitimately years. Well, speaking of Joe Biden, we have one of his mouthpieces. Now, there was multiple, by the way. There was Karine Jean-Pierre, but there's also the Circle Back girl, if you know what I'm talking about. Well, Jen Psaki goes unhinged. And what she's doing now is that she is smearing J.D. Vance, suggesting that his wife, Usha, wants to leave her husband and offers to save her. There is nothing beneath these people, man. Let me tell you, there is nothing that they will not say. Well, like actually literally nothing they won't. They're openly calling for the assassination of the president of the United States, by the way, some of these progressives and these leftists. So, I mean, there really isn't anything that they're not willing to say at this point, which did not used to be the case. You've actually seen how it's escalated since Joe Biden's office, where before they used to obfuscate it, right? They wouldn't say the quiet part out loud. Now they don't even care because they know nothing's going to happen to them. They're able to use their freedom of speech to make threats against all of you, which, by the way, you don't have that in the freedom of speech. You don't get to do that, especially against a sitting president and a sitting vice president, but they'll do it anyway because they know nothing's going to happen to them. Nobody's actually going to prosecute them. Nobody's going to go after them. Nobody's going to show them in jail. So people keep pulling the same bull crap all the time.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else. Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there.
What?
And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
He's smarter.
In some ways. And he's young.
Yeah, and ambitious.
And agile in the sense that he is a chameleon who makes himself into whatever he thinks the audience wants to hear from him. Now, what's also true, though, is J.D. Vance is not – he's in some ways goodish on paper if you like what he believes in. I don't know. But I don't I don't know that he can take the whole movement with him.
No way.
I don't think so either.
There's no riz.
It's got no riz, right?
None.
And he just
cringy,
is
man.
a little odd. And
Totally.
so Trump's odd in a different way. So I'm skeptical of that. So yeah, he's got to. I mean, everything going on right now, and I think we have to be very clear-eyed about this, is about trying to manipulate the public around elections.
Oh, sure. Yeah. What you need to be careful watching this, and not that I'm the one to tell you this. I think you figured it out already. But do you see the messaging that's already happening here? Obviously, it would be shocking if JD didn't run for 2028 with Rubio as his mate. Do you see how they're already painting this guy? They're already setting it up. They're already putting out the seeds of he's going to be a racist. He's one of those MAGA guys. He's no different than Donald Trump. He's a chameleon. He's going to just, in the shadows, he's going to manipulate you. Look, he's a sociopath. He's only going to tell you what you want to hear and see. You can already see the narrative formulating, even though nothing happens for another 2 years roughly until people start campaigning. It's crazy what they're already doing to this guy. And his wife wants to leave him. Blink twice if you need us to come save you. You ain't saving anybody. You couldn't even save yourself. Give me a break. You could have saved Joe Biden. Look at Joey. You left Joe Biden out there in the mud. You let him out there in the dirt. You let him out there on a CPAP machine in bed, however you want to phrase it. Freaking nuts. Crazy, crazy, crazy shenanigans going on over there. All righty, let's see what else we have in the news here, folks. Again, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, hit that like button. It does help support the show. We have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're growing on Rumble. We're growing on X. If we're around next year, we'll see if the show continues here. But we might do some change up for next year. Nothing changes for the show if we continue, but in terms of that growth, we might do another 100,000 next year. By the way, if I get a little feisty and crazy, and look, I've tamed it down a lot here on the show. I've tamed it down a lot. We haven't even been around 5 years yet. You guys realize we grew to over 100,000 subscribers in 4 years? That's 25,000 subscribers a year. That's insane. Grassroots. I do this by myself. Granted, you guys contribute your hard-earned money to the show, but we have a hell of a business going on right now. Let me tell you. We have a hell of a business venture that spreads the truth, conservative values, and frankly, the news. If you noticed here, I don't really give that much of my opinion here on the show. Let's be frank. I mostly just give you the news, and I call out the things I think both sides would agree on. Like, that's a pretty crazy thing to say. You calling out to kill somebody. That's probably something you shouldn't do. And I feel like people can get behind that. You know what I mean? I feel like people can get behind yeah, maybe you shouldn't go ram your car on the ICE agents. Maybe you shouldn't attack police officers. Maybe you shouldn't burn down businesses. Maybe you shouldn't commit crime. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how people would even argue with some of the stuff that I actually say because it's obvious. Maybe you shouldn't assault women. Maybe you shouldn't beat the crap out of your husband. You know what I mean? Maybe you should save money, pay taxes, live a good life, read your Bible, pray for your enemies. Like, it's nothing I say here's crazy. It's all common sense. It's nothing. Everybody, congratulations. I thank you guys, but I mean, really, it's congratulations to all of us, right? We were all here for it. We're all spreading the truth here. All right, what else do we have here? Well, Trump is praising the FBI right now for what they're doing and rounding up people and locking them up, which I'm all for. That's what I voted for. We have here President Donald Trump this week praised the FBI for making a record-breaking string of arrests since his inauguration. Check this out. More than 28,000 violent criminals have been arrested, the president wrote on Truth Social Monday. Over 6,000 illegal weapons seized, forgive me. More than 1,700 child predators and 300 human traffickers taken off the streets. 5,000 innocent children rescued. See, Donald Trump rescues innocent children and finds them. Joe Biden loses 340,000 children. Isn't that amazing? They go after Donald Trump for wanting to bring law and order back to this country, saying that he's a king. That's why they went out and protested, because they're a bunch of idiots. They don't actually know what a king is, or if they're authoritarian or fascism, but they'll still call people that. So Joe Biden gets away with losing 340,000 children to forced labor and sex trafficking, or they just lost and they couldn't find them in the system. Donald Trump saves 5,000 and also has rescued 20 plus thousand. And he's the criminal. He's the bad guy. He's the fascist. He's the dictator. Look at this. 2,000 criminal enterprises disrupted. 1,900 kilos of fentanyl, which would save thousands upon thousands of Americans. I mean, it's historic. It really is. But these are the bad guys. This is the authoritarian government. If this is authoritarian, it really makes me wonder what actual authoritarian looks like. which I don't need to know, right? That was a what is the word? Rhetorical question. You could read books, you could watch documentaries, you could see and look back on history. It's silly. So the FBI under my administration is doing an incredible job, Trump added before, praising FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino. Thank you for your leadership, letting good cops be cops, Mr. President. Patel wrote on X, the FBI is working nonstop to make America safe again, which is great to see. Now, despite all of that, what are they going to throw and have been throwing in Trump's face and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino? And I'm not saying it's not worth throwing in their face. It is, to be frank, is the Epstein files. The Epstein list. And whether you think there's a list or not, or whether you think there's a bunch of names here and there spread out over a bunch of documents, it don't matter. They did say they were going to release it, and they kind of dropped the ball on that one. And that's a really tough one to grasp because, look, I'm one of those that wanted Kash Patel to come in. I thought this guy was going to start exposing the JFK files, MK Ultra, like all of that stuff. I love a good conspiracy theory. Doesn't mean I believe in them, but I love to read about them. I like the entertainment value out of it and the adventure. And we didn't get it. And quite frankly, I think we should. I think we deserve that stuff. And I think Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have dropped the ball on it. And that's something that they have to have and be accountable for when he starts up his podcast again, meaning the Dan Bongino Show. And we're big fans of the Bongino Army. We have a lot of overlap in our audiences. I love it. And I still love Dan. But that doesn't mean that I can't point fingers at, look, bro, you said you're going to do this shit and you didn't do it. And don't say that Kash didn't. Because Kash was on Glenn Beck's show and he said where it was. He said Christopher Wray, the FBI director, had the black book. He has it in his possession and he didn't release it. Well, Christopher Wray was the former FBI director. Kash, you're the new FBI director. And now all of a sudden that information's not privy to you. All of a sudden that's not real. So either you spread a bunch of bullshit and you weren't really sure and you sold us on a lie, or that stuff is legit and you didn't sell us on a lie and you're covering for somebody or some people or the establishment. Hell, I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll see if we ever get it. We will see if we get it. Well, Colombian president pushes to get rid of Trump. Whoa! Man, big talk for a little guy, huh? Oh, so weird. Big talk for a little guy. Let's see what this has to go here. Yeah, there's a little bit of an Asian accent. Yeah, I tried. The Colombian Asian, it's not really it didn't make sense. I get it. It's dark MAGA. We're having a little bit of fun here, folks. Okay, not everything has to be, you understand. The Colombian president said it may be necessary to get rid of President Donald Trump as the United States escalates counter narcotics operations in the region. Hey, asshole, if you didn't want to be having your shit pushed in, maybe don't allow narcotics to come out of your region. That sounds like a good thing. Yeah, if you didn't want it to be a problem, if you don't want to see your boats being exploded out of the ocean by our military, the greatest military ever, the military might, he doesn't want to fuck with the United States. Did you guys all see that? I forgot to show that. You know what? You deserve an apology. I forgot to show that to you guys. Let me get that up for you. That's what she said. Let me get it up slowly for all of you. One moment here. Everybody settle down in the chat. We have, let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Come on. I know I sent it to myself. Brad, you sent it to yourself. Where is it? JD Vance was laughing. I know I sent it to myself. Is it this one? Hold on a second. Let me see. No, it's not that one. Donald Trump. Is it this one? Yeah. Oh, I take good care of my people.
Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
Look at JD. They all love it. Look at Pete Hegseth. Look at Mark.
You know why? You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
How is that not a clip? Do you want to know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. God, what a good, that is a clip right there. I love it. What's going on, Krager? Good to see you, brother. That is a clip. I love, JD has such a good sense of humor. He really is the type, look, I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for JD. It's just a tough one to choose between JD and Marco Rubio. Do I want them on the same ticket? Yeah. But JD he's just a cool dude, man. He's what you kind of think about as an actual president. Look, Trump isn't, in my opinion, he's not the epitome of what a president is. I like what he does. I voted for the guy 3 times. But when I think of a president, I think of a guy that is kind of just like an average Joe American, like one of us. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, if you look back on American history, that's how it was. Just average Joe guys. I'm not saying that it didn't change over time. Of course it did. But Just a guy that had a rough upbringing, changed his life, has a great family, was in the Marines, and is the type of everybody in here can go look and be like, you could see yourself having a drink with JD at the bar. Like literally right now as vice president, coming over, having a nice brewski, maybe a glass of whiskey, a cigar out there with the boys, and he would have a grand old time with you. He's great on podcasts. He's a smart guy, but he has a sense of humor, which I always enjoy. And Trump just makes him laugh his ass off. And if he's laughing like that in meetings, can you imagine the hysterical laughs that JD's getting behind closed doors because of Trump? Trump's a showman, man. Trump is hilarious. Come fuck with me, Maduro. I'll push your shit in. Well, now Colombian president wants to get in the mix here. And he's saying to get rid of Donald Trump. Oh, really? What a ballsy thing to say. Especially to Trump that you just don't fuck with. I mean, everybody knows that Trump will just, look what he did to the Iranians. I mean, he just went in there and dropped some freaking heavy loads on their nuclear facilities. Yeah. Keep talking shit, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I want anything to happen. I'm just saying you got a lot of balls to be talking shit on the United States. A lot of balls. Colombia President Gustavo, there's a name for you, made the comment in an interview with the Univision on Monday regarding the best possible outcome of negotiations with the Trump administration. Humanity has a first off-ramp. It is to choose to change Trump in various ways. The easiest way may be through Trump himself. If not, get rid of Trump. Well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Trump has escalated a pressure campaign in recent weeks against Colombia over drug trafficking in the region. Oh, that's so terrible. God forbid a president whose job and authority is single-handedly is to protect Americans to do so because out of your country, you can't do it yourself. It's amazing that we get this out of Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, all these countries having these narcotics and fentanyl that could delete millions of Americans. Yeah, God forbid the guy, the most senior police officer in the entire country, goes and protects the citizens of which voted on behalf of the Democratic Republic to put him in office to protect them. God, crazy thinking. I know. Unbelievable. Maybe if this guy spent more time on his own country to figure out the narcotic and drug trafficking situation, then maybe Donald Trump wouldn't have to blow boats out of the middle of the ocean. Yeah, that might be a thing. But, he would rather spend his time talking shit on Donald Trump than fixing his own country. And that's why you have millions pouring out of his country into ours. I mean, that's why. Labeling Petro as an illegal drug dealer and a fresh mouth toward America. Wes Tabor, who led the Drug Enforcement Administration office in the Carcass in 2012, told the Daily Wire that Petro has slowly pulled away from having ties with the United States while moving closer to the socialist regime of Venezuelan dictator Nick Maduro. His background is steep in these freedom-fighting kinds of guerrilla warfare, socialism, Marxism, and things like that. And we have seen in the last year more aggressively coming out of Colombia. They are saying, listen, we're going to side with Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. We look historically, the relationship has been really good. So if you're having to read the subtitles here, this is just, if you close your eyes, for those in audio, it might seem like I'm playing an interview right now, but really what I'm playing, it's actually a clip for the Super Bowl. This is the halftime show of the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny, believe it or not. This is exactly what his music's going to sound like, just a heads up. Yeah, I know he's Puerto Rican and that's slang for Spanish and Hispanic talk. I get it. But we're having a little fun now in Dark Maga, okay? Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes, okay? Don't touch the person next to you, freaks, you weirdos. This is exactly what Bad Bunny's going to be. This is what you're going to be listening to at the Super Bowl halftime show. Brad and Patriots are ready for the Turning Point USA halftime. Hell yeah, I am. Big time, dude. Big time. I want that Creed to come out. I love Creed, dude. Remember when Creed used to be like, you were kind of like looked at as being gay? I'm not throwing shade at any gay people. It's just like a slang term that we used growing up. We have some of the younger crowd in here. Some people think I don't know who they are in the live chat. Some people think that I may not know who the youngsters are, like 17, 18. I know who every single person is in my chat, by the way. They think that I may not know who they are. They may not think, look, I'm going to be clear right now. I know legitimately who every single person is in this live right now that's in the live chat. Okay. You think I don't know who you guys are. Some of you. I do. And I know that some of you are 17 and 18 years old. Some of you are 17 years old right now and do not belong in this live chat. You do not belong watching this because this is restricted to 18 years old and older audiences. I know everybody. You don't know me. Oh, Pat, please. Pat, I know you so well. It's freaking head spinning. I even know what kind of truck you drive. Yeah, I know everybody in this chat. You guys just think I don't. All righty. Let's see what else we have in the new. God, there's so much. There's literally. You guys ever get like bombarded? There's so much stuff. Like you get excited to show your friends. You're like, I don't know. You don't even know what to choose. You don't know what to show them. Give me a moment here. I got to clear my feed out. I got so much stuff to show you guys. It's freaking ridiculous. By the way, if you are under 18, you should not be watching this show. Just like, actually, that's a real thing, by the way. If you're under 18, you should not be watching this show. Just a heads up. You are doing that at your own risk. I've signed paperwork that my show's for 18 years or older. So don't come at me. Well, Harry Sisson challenges Hitler-Trump comparison in tense Pierce Morgan debate. This actually just aired not too long ago. There's the entire Bing Bong. Yes, I do know you, by the way. I know exactly who you are. I know your name. And, I do. And by the way, you are not, you might be 18. I don't know, 18 younger. You might be 17. I have to look again. But I know who you are. You thought I didn't know who you are this entire time. But I know exactly who you are. You just think I don't. And I may see you every single day almost. Didn't see you today, though. Did not see you today. You missed that one. But I know who you are. I dare you to name high-ranking Democrat who compared Trump to Hitler. We have it here. Posobiec. You mean like when Kamala Harris did in 2024 when you were campaigning for her?
Question about whether or not a high-ranking Democrat has used this rhetoric. Who is Kamala Harris?
I know. I want you to answer all the questions. I want you to answer all the questions
for you. Who is Kamala Harris?
Wait. Answer all the questions I just gave you. And can you name me when Kamala Harris said that Donald Trump is Hitler? When did Kamala Harris? Great.
Was Kamala Harris last year a high-ranking Democrat when she was?
When did Kamala Harris call Donald Trump Hitler?
October of 2024. Kamala Harris said on the campaign trail, Donald Trump vowed to be a dictator on day one. His former chief of staff said he wanted generals like Hitler's. Donald Trump openly admires dictators, including Adolf Hitler. Last October, that was said on the campaign trail from the Democrat.
So Kamala Harris said this during the campaign, during the closing days of the campaign. It was her final campaign pitch. Is that high enough ranking for you? You guys supported her for president.
Exactly, because there have been reports
the person
that Donald
you
Trump
supported for president is someone
just relax,
who was campaigning by calling Trump Hitler.
Jack,
you're so disingenuous when you bring this stuff up. You can't even acknowledge the fact that your own candidate was on the campaign. She's got a video about it. It's on her Facebook, or it's on her Twitter page.
Let me offer one here, which is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton literally compared Trump's rally in Ohio last week to Nazi leader Adolf Hitler's speeches. Speaking of the Texas Tribune Festival in Austin, she made reference to Hitler's speeches, which saw people raise their right arms in the air in the Nazi salute. I remember as a young student, trying to figure out how people basically got bought in by Hitler, she said. How did that happen? I'd watch newsreels and I'd see this guy standing there ranting and raving and so on. It happens all the time.
It really does. The fact that the guy is even trying to spin it is just, it's bewildering to me. It really, really is. So that's him trying to dunk on everyone, except he's the one that got dunked on. Not a clue. By the way, he's a smart and wise, like crafty. I mean, so Satan. I'm not trying to compare him to Satan. I'm just saying that, evil people say evil things and do evil things. I do think it's evil to defend somebody doing some crazy things, but Harry he's a smart kid, man. The guy is very, very smart. Speaking of this, this is a big shout out to Turning Point USA. It was kind of brought up here in the chat. Might as well talk a little bit about what they're doing. Since, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk's assassination, there has been a massive revival in people buying scriptures and going back to church. I mean, this is the power of what we do as a conservative movement, specifically Turning Point USA. They deserve all the praise. I mean, it's the work of Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. As much as some of you may not like Candace, she was early on in the Turning Point USA movement, and she helped put that on the map as the director of communications with Charlie Kirk. Well, here's the news segment talking about the increase in Bible sales. This is always nice to hear.
Friend of Charlie's, executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show and Turning Point USA spokesperson. Andrew, great to have you on the show as always. I mean, I just want your initial take on the Bible sales being way up.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trace. And
it's really encouraging for me just to see the pure raw numbers of that, because you can feel it. There's so many anecdotes and so many people that have come to us, sent us emails. You see it in the social media comments saying, Charlie re-inspired my faith. I'm going back to church. I'm praying for my husband. Our marriage has been saved because of the legacy that and just the way Charlie lived his life. And I love that one speaker that was at that event with Russell Brand. It's the way Charlie would integrate the message of faith into everything that he did. He'd get a question about, regardless of the topic, he would get a question and he would find a way to integrate his faith just seamlessly into that. And after, Charlie was assassinated, people started seeing these clips and they would realize just what he was doing with all of those interactions that he had one by one over the years, and how so much wisdom was packed into these social media videos that now people are rediscovering. And then they hear about the way he lived his life, or loved Erica, his wife, or his kids, and they realize that there is true wisdom here and a future and a purpose for them. So it's wonderful to see.
Yeah, and now I want to kind of flip the tables literally, because you talk about the pushback that TPUSA is still getting. I'm going to pause and we're going to listen for this. This is the student teacher who flipped over the tables of TPUSA. Watch.
Well, Jesus did it, so I got to do it, right? Jesus did it. Thanks, guys.
Also, he's actually fired. I saw this when I was doing show prep one day. It was only like 2 days ago. And this is a teaching assistant. And I guess he got fired for doing this. As you should. It's not your property. Why are you putting your hands on other people's stuff? If this was a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, it doesn't matter. It could be something communist or socialist. I'm not going to go put my hands on somebody else's property. I've mentioned this time and time again. I know I'm beating a dead horse with it. These people don't care. They are violent, man. They're not normal. They're whack jobs, dude. These aren't normal. These aren't even Democrats. Please understand that. He might be a registered Democrat. He ain't normal, man. You don't just, no normal person, no sane person goes and puts their hands on other people or touches other people's property. And you know what's crazy is people get upset when I talk like this. Really? You're upset with me, the guy that's telling this person here not to go commit a crime and put his hands on other people's property. I'm the bad guy. That's how people refer to me as. I'm the bad guy because I'm telling people not to go break the law. But the person's actually breaking the law, harassing somebody and touching their property and destroying it. Well, no comment, no mention to them. They're not the asshole. I'm the asshole for enforcing the laws because I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Have a great day.
Yeah, I mean, University of Illinois teaching assistant, he was fired because of that. But you can still see there's a lot of animosity out there, Andrew.
Yeah, and there is. And, I think it's because Charlie he lived his life in such a way that you had to pick a side, right? And I just think it's funny that not only did he fail in flipping over the table, he actually didn't flip it over. He wanted to, but then, he got his just desserts here, and I'm glad the university held the line. But, there's a little bit of negative here, and we make much of it on social media because these people are behaving vilely. It's terrible behavior. There's no doubt, but there's so much good here, and you see that with the Bible sales, but we also see it at TPUSA Faith. Trace, I just want to break a little bit of news. We've talked about a lot how big the field team and the campus has program has grown after 9/10, but TPUSA Faith, which Charlie launched during COVID, has so just to put it in perspective, we had about 4,000 churches in the network before 9/10. We have added over 4,000 more churches. So we've doubled it. We have 8,000 churches in our network at TPUSA Faith. We've seen almost 1,000% growth across all social media platforms. And get this, we've had over 200,000 people sign up to become a part of TPUSA Faith. So what we're doing in the faith space has more than doubled. And it's again, what a testament to the legacy that Charlie Kirk has left. There's just so much more good than there is bad, and it's important for us to remind everybody about that.
Yeah, the movement is definitely gaining momentum. Andrew Covett, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Well, shout out to them for doing great work at Turning Point USA. I mean, that's an organization, really, folks, that you want to put your money behind, is they are spreading the word of truth to people, making believers out of those that are non-believers, clothing those that are unclothed, and feeding those that don't have food. They're actually doing great work over there. Really, really phenomenal stuff. So like I've always mentioned, head over to their website. And if you have something that you want to donate, the holidays are coming up, not only Halloween, but more specifically Thanksgiving. Look, I'm not saying the guy intentionally gave his life for his movement, But he did give his life. I mean, he was assassinated, and still, from just the power of his words to the power of his, amazing acts that he did, his movement and organization, Turning Point USA, is doing amazing, amazing stuff. Well, regarding the government shutdown, yeah, I'd be remiss if we did not talk about it. It's still going on here. You have a Wolf Blitzer having Senator Martin Heinrich gets called out over the Democrat shutdown for illegals. Yes, you heard that correctly. They're shutting it down for illegals. Whether people agree with it or not, it's happening, and that is one of the reasons why.
These healthcare subsidies, which are so important, are expiring at the end of this year because that's when Democrats controlled Congress and passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It included that specific expiration date. Democrats were also the key architects of Obamacare. Is this a crisis of your party's own making right now?
No, it's a crisis because the current leadership in Congress is not willing to step up and take care of working people.
Senator, these healthcare subsidies.
I mean, there's actually truth to that, believe it or not. There really, really is. But a crisis for Democrats and their voting base pass clean CR. They won't do it, which, again, we've shown you the receipts. They say this is not happening. We have the actual section and summaries of the provisions of the repealment. I don't understand what is so difficult about understanding that illegal aliens are getting health care. I really don't. I'm trying to understand this. I don't, and I won't. I mean, it's there. You can go look at it and read it with your own eyes. It's not like it's pulled out of thin air. It's not like we're pulling this out of our... It says alien Medicaid eligibility. And if you go even further, that's what it is. It's mind-boggling that people think it's not real. I mean, they're the same people that say that illegal aliens aren't voting, even though we know for a fact that they are. It might not swing the elections, but it's happening and it shouldn't be happening. So why don't we stop it? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit. We're just, we're ants in an anthill, folks. We have to deal with this stuff. Well, I guess Portland police aren't just shielding Antifa now. They're actively working against DHS agents. So this is something we saw before. And this is now taking an extra step here. This is by Nick Sorter. If you recall, we actually saw, I think it was Portland Police Department. I might be wrong. It might have been Seattle before, that were actively telling Antifa kind of how to circumvent and get around this DHS that's going out there protecting federal buildings and federal property. I caught them multiple times taking videos from leftist protesters to launch investigations into DHS agents who use pepper spray on rioters, pull federal funds from Portland, while Portland police allow Antifa terrorists who attempt to blind DHS agents to hide behind them. They're also trying to undermine DHS ability to defend themselves. This is wild. Let's check this out.
So he tried to get in my face and try to make me fight. I'm not going to fight with him. I'm not a guy to put your hands on me, that's going to be a problem. But at the end of the day, I'm peacefully protesting. I'm peacefully showing going on.
Well, this is an old video. She's going to get maced in the face. I remember this. This is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I saw a different angle of this.
My name is Ted City. I have an Instagram. My Instagram is gamer_Michael.
Thank you, man.
I'm not saying she should have got maced in the face, but you want to know something? If she was never there in the first place, she would have never got maced in the face. Maybe if you're out there working and I guarantee you the same people that are out here protesting to the Kifa. There you go. Yep, there's the Hamas stuff. We were waiting for it. If you were out there working rather than protesting, then you'd probably be making some money. But this is what the people do. They'll complain about the system, how it's racist, it's oppressing people of color and minorities and just the leftists, the authoritarian government, the Nazi regimes, not allowing them to make money. But yet they're the ones that want to mooch off the government. They don't want to work multiple jobs. I work 3 jobs. Okay, I run this business here. I work my full-time job, and then I also have another job outside of this. I work from legitimately, I wake up at fucking 4:30, and I don't go to bed till really late at night, and I do it all over again the next day. At least my audience knows I ain't lazy, and at least my audience knows I ain't mooching off the government for support. Now, I ask your support in the show if you want to donate money, because it helps go back into it, but I ain't begging for it. Those that are just charitable and want to give back because they're here every day, and they want to help a guy out, run a hobby that he enjoys, I appreciate that. But at least I ain't lazy and that I'm hustling over here. As they go, every day I'm hustling. Everybody knows that song. Okay, let's see if we get a couple more. Oh, here's Schumer. Oh, you freaking... The guy's the penguin. I know we mentioned it, folks. He's the penguin. Schumer reminds Americans what Democrats have forced on them because they want to fund health care for illegals. Here he is. He is the perfect Gotham penguin. He is. And there's nothing you're going to say in the chat that's going to change my mind. I'm waiting for Christian Bale to pop out in a bat suit and take him down.
The longest total government shutdown in history. 21 days. 21 days of federal workers missing their paychecks. 21 days of families wondering how they're going to pay the rent or pay for child care. The longest total government shutdown in history. 21 days. 21 days of federal workers missing their paychecks. 21 days of families wondering how they're going to pay the rent or pay for child care.
Or you could just pass the clean CR. That's all your stuff that you guys want. That's all you have to do. Yeah, it's crazy. Republicans wouldn't even be getting anything out of it, believe it or not. It's just, it's his clean CR. And I don't know, I can't even remember the last time that's happened before, by the way. But it's never happened. So remember that leftist cryberry, Harry Sisson, said no high-ranking elected Democrat official has ever called Trump Hitler. You actually saw him say that. And if you didn't, we'll play the clip again. But now people are doing a side-by-side between what he said just moments ago and Piers Morgan. This is like breaking news, by the way. Just moments ago and Piers Morgan. And then, actually proving him wrong.
I don't think anybody in this debate can name me a high-ranking elected Democrat who has called Donald Trump Hitler.
I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things. But this wannabe Hitler, for sure.
I don't think anybody in this debate can name me a high-ranking elected Democrat who has called Donald Trump Hitler.
Gee. Odd. Really odd. It's amazing. That did not take long for somebody to dig up some video. Mind you, I don't think it would have taken long. It's relentless on what they call Donald Trump. They call him all sorts of names. All just a bunch of names, a bunch of nonsense. It's always nonsense with that party. I don't know why they just can't get their ish together. So just about a few hours ago, Speaker Mike Johnson reveals Democrat insiders are admitting privately that they are terrified of getting the political guillotine if they reopen the government under a simple clean CR. That's crazy. I'm not saying what he's saying is correct. The idea that you're going to have a political guillotine if you pass a clean CR resolution, that part's insane.
Nonpartisan CR, they're going to get hammered. Another insider said in that same story, quote, "We would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine." Okay? They mean it metaphorically, but in a political sense, that's exactly what they're concerned about. Now think about the fact that we're just laying out here. These are simple facts. We come out here every morning and remind the American people of what's going on. Do not let them distract you from the facts. The American people would have an open government if Democrats were not terrified of their radical base. That is the headline. Every single one of you should write that. That's the ugly truth. The Democrats are not governing in good faith. They're covering their own tail. They're out here decrying the so-called forthcoming health care crisis, they say. It's the one that they themselves created. The Democrats created Obamacare. They're the ones that created a subsidy with an expiration date. They're the ones that did all of this. Republicans are trying to fix it. And they're trying to blame Republicans for the crisis they themselves created. They cry foul when we won't bail them out of their own shutdown. I don't have anything to offer, as I've explained. I don't have any partisan priority I can pull off of the CR to make it more palatable for them. There's nothing to negotiate. They just have to do what they've always done in the past, that they did 13 times during the Biden administration, and they did as recently as March of this year, to open the government so that people can get their services and their paychecks.
But they won't. Check this one out. Check this clip out right here. This one comes from RNC Research. Just, I think it'll speak for itself. I don't need to read the quote.
Senator, since the shutdown began now 21 days ago, there have been 11 votes on the GOP measure to reopen the government, and you have voted no all 11 times. How are you explaining that to federal workers, including those in your state who aren't getting paid?
Well, to be honest, I'm telling you, this does suck, and I'm sorry that we're actually putting you in this situation.
Senator.
Now, if you read what this person said, Gallego, however, is still planning to cash his own check in case you were worried how he was going to get by. Yeah, screw his own staff. His staff's not going to get paid, but you sure bet your booty he going to get paid. He going to get that money real quick. They're all the same. $35,000. Squad Democrat spends eye-popping amount on luxury limo services in 1 year. $35,000. Folks, I've never spent $35,000 on anything. Like, there's no service I've ever spent $35,000 on. Not even close to that. Speaking of services, well, here's a bunch of services of lopping up a bunch of lies. But don't worry, we have Scott Jennings here to save all of us. Here's Scott on CNN. You all know we always have to play a Scott clip before we get off. Here we go.
Like their president is not listening to them, and frankly, in some instances has said we're the enemy simply because we disagree with them. You're saying that's not a good use of time. You're criticizing these people who went out to, be Americans and say they love their country and want their president to listen to them. That's not a good use of time. That's outrageous.
Well, no, I mean, normal people were spending time with their family and watching college football. I don't care how they spend their time. If they want to go out, if they want to go out and protest, be my guest. They're welcome to do it, and I don't really care whether they do it or not. But I just happen to think if I were Democrats, I would rather have directed that energy into the campaigns that are going on this year instead of marching around the way they did. But listen, you guys spend your time however you want. It's a free country, not a monarchy.
Look at his face. Oh, sorry. Can I play that last one again? Because they don't like that. Look at that. They got snubbed. I mean, what a screen grab right there. Please indulge me for a second. I need to cleanse my palate with this greatness of Scott Jennings really quick at the end.
Whether they do it or not, but I just happen to think if I were Democrats, I would rather have directed that energy into the campaigns that are going on this year instead of marching around the way they did. But listen, you guys spend your time however you want. It's a free country, not a monarchy.
Karen? Well, and yet the president, himself has sort of waffled back and forth. They say
I mean, he's incredible. The clip ends right there, by the way. I mean, Scott's incredible, is he not? I mean, he's a national treasure. And, this is really sadistic of me to bring up, and I apologize in advance. But Scott, when you go to the heavenly realm, I hope you live a long and fruitful life. Can we taxidermy you and put you inside the Trump library? Can we do that? I know that's really dark and really sadistic, but Scott is that much of a national treasure that he should be somewhere where people could pay their respects to what a great man from, is Scott from Illinois? Can't remember where Scott Jennings is from. The guy's a saint, though. I mean, really. And saints don't decay. Saints live on forever. What a remarkable, remarkable person. I love him. I really do. Let's see what else we have here really quick. Do we have another Scott clip? I think that was it. I think that was the one I wanted to show and end with. It was. All righty. Well, that's the end of Dark MAGA, folks. We've been streaming for an hour. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you did, we would love for you to join us every Tuesday and Thursday evening for Dark MAGA. That gets hosted at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be back here tomorrow for our normal broadcast at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, our normal actual Bald Brad Show podcast that we host on all platforms. And as I mentioned, I've already started kind of swirling if the show's going to stick around. And if it is, well, I think we're going to bring back how we used to do things a couple years ago. And I'll tell you what, we were feisty a couple years ago. We've been on people's platforms. We actually were interviewing people. We were doing a lot of stuff back in the day. And we kind of moved away from that to do this hour-long podcast live. So we'll see what happens here. If you have any ideas on what you would like the show to be or change at all, maybe you don't want it to change whatsoever. You just love how it is. We could keep doing that as well. You guys move the needle. I do the show, and we grow the audience together. Folks, pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And, I'll see you later here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.